dysfunctional vet. I am testing my meter. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to check continuity. First thing I want to do is I want to make sure that each one of these three wires is isolated from the other. To do that, I check here, and there's no movement on the meter. I check here, no movement on the meter. So we know that these come down and they're not attached to anything else. The next thing to do is to find out if the thing is properly grounded. So we're going to grab onto the grounding lug and we're going to hit the box here. Alright, these are all electrically connected to the ground. Next thing to do, what we're going to do is we're going to check and make sure that these wires right here are up there. Again, we set our meter where we can see it, and we're going to verify which one goes where. I'm untangling my wires. Set this one on the bottom and this one up here. Okay, set it to the ground. So my lead on the right hand in the meter base goes to the bottom one. The top one is isolated from the ground, but it's connected to the meter base left. The next thing to do is to find out if these are in the off position. We're not getting anything there. We're not getting anything there. We're not getting anything here. We're not getting anything here. So we've verified that our switch is good. We now throw the switch to the on position. We verify our current again. This top one is feeding the bottom one. The bottom one is feeding the top one. And we don't have any mismatch, and it is not grounded. These are good. So we know that when these are in the on position, these are feeding to where they need to be. The next thing we need to do, because these wire runs need to be unbroken, we're going to short them out on the end, and then we're going to come back and we're going to test from our wire to our neutral and see what we get. What I've done is I've taken a pair of strippers and I've cut the wire and then pulled it off, and I've clamped this screw onto here to short this end out so that I can test and make sure that everything, the wire itself, is good. In just a moment we'll come back, we'll remove this, and then we'll test at the box again. This will be removed as soon as this test is complete. Alright, what we're going to do, we're going to check, make sure the meter is working. It is. We're going to touch our neutral. We're going to touch our power point. That's good. Now we test to see if the power is coming through here. And see if it's up here. There we go. So we have power coming. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to check from the meter base down. Alright, this is coming out of the meter. So we know that we've got good power supply. Now I'm going to go remove the short, and I'll come back and I'll make sure that everything is open. that tells me that we don't have a fault somewhere inside the wiring system. In this test, we should not have any power flowing. This should be an open circuit. Test the meter. Meter is good. Test. No electricity, no electricity, no electricity, no electricity. But on our ground, we have power. So that checks out. We now know that the thing is completely isolated from the disconnect underneath the meter base to point of use. Next thing that will happen is we'll put the electrical box on there and we will be done. This is the last step. We put our cardboard, oops, dropped it. We take our cardboard, we place it up here on the meter. We put our meter top into place. Slide this in, bring this down. This keeps any animals, birds, rats, whatever, from getting into the meter base. Keeps it sort of protected from weather, but not very well. Now we put the faceplate on. The faceplate has 2 screws, which are back in here a little bit. You want to make darn sure you don't drop your screws down this. You would never get them back. The next step is to put the faceplate on here, which will protect all of this. You have 2 screws. These screws were on the floor of this, so they wouldn't get lost. When you pull these things out, if you drop them to the dirt, you can get them back. If you drop them down this conduit, you're pretty much out of luck. You're not going to get them back. So the next thing to do is to put this in place and then put the screws in, which these little holes that you probably can't see that are in here are useful for putting your finger through to get the screw started, and also when you're taking them off. There's a little flange here, you need to get that straight. That's what holds the lid down. To open the lid, you press down just a little bit. Now you put this one into place, get it where it goes. System is in place, and we shut it off. We bring it down, gotta lift it just slightly to get it to go on, and then you'll see a little flange right there. Okay, it's on, it's closed. Box is ready for whatever. Now I've got to put away some stuff in case it rains, and then I'll go over the whole thing and show you what I have. Let's wrap this up. Our utility pole there will have the transformer. It'll swing across and it'll attach up here. The extra height, this 15-foot tall pole, 5 foot of it's in the ground. It's a 20-foot, 5 foot in the ground, 15 above. Will give me plenty of access for service trucks to pass underneath the service lead. We go into the weatherhead, we come down through the conduit, we go into the electrical box. From the electrical box, we go into the meter base. From the meter base, we go into the disconnect. Oh, it's a 1-gallon jug. Yeah, thought I picked them all up. I've been using water to settle stuff. It goes into the disconnect. From the disconnect, we have an electrical outlet here using number 12 solid copper. That's so we can plug in like a small air compressor or something like that if we get a flat. We go into our conduit and we go down. Now this is 1 1/4 inch conduit, which is absolutely fine if you're running single phase number 6. I actually have 2 single phase number 6 in there. It's very crowded. I would have done better to go to a 1 1/2 or maybe even 1 3/4 inch conduit. It goes down into the ground. Everything's glued really well to keep it weatherproof. And it comes in here, and then the line bifurcates in my direction towards my foot and the other direction. And as you can see, I've been doing a little digging and pouring water on stuff, trying to get stuff to settle down. That's what those wet spots are. That's from a picture, or correction, it's one of those pails that you fill with water. It's got the sprinkler on it. It's pouring it down, trying to get the ground to settle. And then it goes over here past my 1 gallon jug, which had water in it. Like I said, I thought I'd pick that up. And I'm looking at the camera, not at the scenery. It comes around, and then it's still buried, and it comes up over there. Now I'm getting ready to wrap that wire up. I'll put a plastic bag over it until I get the weather box on it first thing in the morning. And then I'll be trimming the wire to length, feeding everything in, and life will be good. If you notice, that line is buried, and in no time at all the land will heal. You won't ever know anything was done. This right here is going to take a little while. There was just so much dirt that I had to dig out to get that pole into the ground, and then in order to get the electrical conduit in. So everything is fairly good. With that said, Dysfunctional Vet out.